Hello, everyone. Welcome to Durrett's Take. As um, last weekend unfolded college football, there was a bunch of ranked versus ranked matchups, a lot of good matchups on paper that we were excited about, and it definitely delivered. As most of those matchups ended up being great games, including the Alabama Tennessee, Oklahoma State TCU, USC Utah, stuff like that. So that was all good, and I'm hoping we get a lot more good games once again this weekend. A lot of ranked versus ranked matchups again. Let's get started. Not a lot of once you get past like nine like out of top 10. Once you get to like 9 or 10, you can kind of debate which one's top 10 in your opinion because my opinion is not clear like definite. Oh, these are 10 great games. More like there's 8 good games or something like that. But I'm gonna start with 10. I got Iowa versus number 2 Ohio State. With Iowa having a good defense, it'll be interesting to see if they can be the first to slow Ohio State's offense down since Notre Dame did back in week one. I think they can slow the offense down, but since Iowa's offense is so bad, they won't be able to take advantage of it. Buckeyes are favored by 29 points. They do not cover that. I have, despite being at home here, I have the Buckeyes winning 24-7. Next, you got um, Texas A&M 3-3 versus South Carolina 4-2. A&M's favored 3.5 here on the road. Both teams really could use this win to help their chance to make it a bowl game. South Carolina 4-2 looks better than 3-3, but they got a tough remaining schedule. So I do feel like if they lose this game, there's a chance it can. And with A&M at 500, obviously if you fall below 500, it's going to be very hard to come back and make a bowl game with it. So like I said, both teams really need a win here. Not that, not that both teams wanted to suffer bowl game. Both expected way higher things at the beginning of the season, but it is what it is. I think the way Spencer Rattler plays with that gunslinger mentality, while he does make good plays, I feel like he also make the costly mistake against a good Aggies defense. So I get Texas A&M to get the road win here, 24-20. 8, you got Kansas 5-2 versus Baylor 3-3. Noon game on ESPN2. But Baylor's quarterback Blake Shapen was injured last week, and while the backup Kyron Drones did a decent job filling in, Baylor's defense has definitely regressed from last season. And right now, instead of Baylor potentially going back to the Big 12 title game like I thought could happen, the Bears are just trying to make a bowl game. They're just going to try to go 6-6 and make a bowl game. By the way, their season's going so far, which is crazy. Um, there are no guaranteed wins in the Big 12 this season. For Kansas, their defense continues to be an issue, especially now that the backup quarterback's playing for the past 2 weeks. The backup quarterback's fine, but he's not Jason Daniels. Therefore, is the reason why he's the backup. Baylor should have no problem rushing this game, which is their calling card. But can their passing offense do enough to get the win? I feel like the passing offense won't to do much, so therefore I feel like they can then just do enough to get the win here, whether it's Shapen playing or the backup playing, and I feel like Baylor will win 42-27, so they'll cover 9 point spread there. 7, you got number 7 Ole Miss versus a 5-2 LSU team, 3:30 CBS game. Ole Miss is definitely on upset alert here. The Ole Miss defense has proven so far that they can be leaky, which will keep an LSU team at home in this game until the end. I believe the Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart will be the clutch in the fourth quarter, make the plays to win the game, and keep Ole Miss undefeated for now. So I have them winning 30-28. 6, you got Minnesota versus 14 versus 16 Penn State, the primetime game on ABC. Both teams got embarrassed last week. It'll be interesting to see which one bounces back. I think it'll be Penn State. Minnesota's quarterback Tanner Megan was injured last week, and while he hasn't been ruled out for this week, I would be surprised if he plays. He'll most likely be out. And while Minnesota relies on Muhammad Abraham, anyways, to run the ball, if he was struggling if he's struggling because the passing offense is not a little threat at all, then they can just stack the box and neutralize him, kind of like Illinois did last week against him. I know the Penn State Russian defense will be back on track, and compared to last week with the Russian defense against Michigan, which was brutal. But I trust Penn State on offense a lot more than I do Minnesota offense, especially at home here. So I think the Nittany Lions will win by double digits here. I have them winning 20-7. 5, you got 24 Mississippi State versus 6 Alabama, 7 p.m. ESPN game. I feel bad for Mississippi State here. Not only are they coming off a loss, but now they have to face Alabama after the Crimson Tide just lost a game. That's a tough spot to be in. Nick Saban will make sure his players are ready to go this time, and I think why this could remain close in the first half. Alabama runs away with in the second half against the win. I have them winning 35-17. 4, you got 17 Kansas State versus 8 TCU, the last two undefeated teams in the Big 12, undefeated in the Big 12. Is the 8 p.m. Fox game. If you love a game with a lot of rushing yards, especially from the quarterbacks, then this is the game to watch. Adrian Martinez for Kansas State and Max Duggan for TCU used their legs as a big part of the offense. Since both defenses practice against mobile quarterbacks every single day in practice, I think this comes down to which quarterback using their arm can get the job done. I think if Duggan proves to be fine, since he did injure his shoulder last week, if he can, I feel like he can make the bigger plays with his arm versus Martinez, and therefore TCU continues to ride high and stay in the playoff mix. I have them winning 35-27. 3, you got 20 Texas versus 11 Oklahoma State game, 3:30 ABC game here. I'm not sure why Texas is favored by 5 here on the road. That bewilders me. But I know the Longhorns are good with Quentin Ewers back, but especially after they struggled against Iowa State. And Oklahoma State's loss was a good loss on the road to TCU. I just kind of surprised me there. I I expect Texas to have better offense game than they did last week, but I know Oklahoma State just shot themselves in the foot against TCU and blew that 14-point lead. So I know they're not going to let that happen again, especially at home here. They'll play a cleaner game, and I have the Cowboys to win a game. I have them winning 33-27. Number 2, you got 9 UCLA versus 10 Oregon. 3:30 game on Fox here. Oregon's a 6.5-point favorite at home, which is interesting. While this is not a do or die game for either team as far as making the Pac-12 title game goes, the winner of this game most likely makes it. It wouldn't surprise me if this ends up being the preview for the Pac-12 title game, but we'll see. I don't trust Oregon's defense to slow down the UCLA offense. So then the big question becomes, well, then can the UCLA defense slow down Oregon's offense? It wouldn't shock me if they slowed them down, but I think as long as the Ducks quarterback Bo Nix, because we know his history, he plays a mistake-clean-free good game, he'll most likely win. But if he has those turnovers and tries to do something, then they'll lose. So it depends on what he does there, But I feel like he'll play mistake-free this game, especially being at home here, and therefore the Ducks will get the home win. Especially since they rarely lose at home. So I have them winning 37-35. And then last but not least, you have 14 Syracuse versus 5 Clemson, the battle of the undefeateds here. Noon ABC game. Syracuse is one of the few teams that has given Clemson trouble in the past. I think they have a chance to make things interesting here, as long as their quarterback, Garrett Schrader, doesn't force turnovers as he did last week against NC State. However, as we have already seen, Clemson at home is tough to knock off, and I think they will find a way to get a big win here and basically secure their spot in the ACC championship, because the winner of this game basically goes to the ACC title game. So I feel like Clemson winning either way 26-17 here, so they do not cover the 13-point spread there. So again, just to review, I have Ohio State beating Iowa by 17, A&M beating South Carolina by 4, Baylor beating Kansas by 15, Ole Miss beating LSU by 2, Penn State beating Minnesota by 13, Alabama beating Mississippi State by 18, TCU beating Kansas State by 8, Oklahoma State beating Texas by 6, Oregon beating UCLA by 2, and Clemson beating Syracuse by 9. So thank you very much for listening to my podcast today. Please subscribe to my channel to learn about me. Thank you very much. You have a wonderful day.